Next up, we have our veteran speaker tonight. He's been with the club for 5 years now, currently going through the second round of his CC manual. We have Dennis Darden with La Vitra, Viagra, and Cialis. Oh my!
Let's talk about erectile dysfunction, shall we? Why not? Every time I turn on the television set, somebody is talking to me about the quality of my erection. Did this always the way it was? I seem to remember just a few years ago during the President Clinton-Monica Lewinsky debacle that parents were going, oh God, I have to talk to my children about oral sex. And now, would you want to have this discussion? Daddy, what's erectile dysfunction? No, not. It's something that you want to try to explain to a small child, right, Jason? You got to go back to where all this started. And it all started back in 1996. Some chemists at Pfizer in England were running a trial for angina and hypertension. The drug didn't work. However, it had an interesting side effect. Suddenly, exactly, I did my research. So suddenly they knew that they had the golden goose. And by that year they continued the trials. By the middle of 1998, they got it approved by the FDA. And then by 1998, on Christmas, as a present to all the men in the world, they ran Viagra out. It was a wonderful Christmas. I did my research, and when I was checking what has happened to this Viagra, Cialis, and La Vitra, but Viagra alone, from 2007 to 2012, $5.975 billion in the United States alone during that 6-year period. Over 500 million prescriptions were given for this drug. I mean, shall we say the sales were tumescent? Would we say that they were turgid? I am telling you that went over the roof. This is an amazing process. But even with all of this, we know that there are certain side effects that these drugs have. Now, you know how all drugs, all prescription drugs, they say during the commercials, and they say it in such a pleasant voice, don't they? They say all these horrible things that can happen to you, but they say them at the same time the music is playing, at the same time all the lovely pictures are happening, but they're telling you these horrible things. These 3 drugs have a really interesting side effect that stops me every time I hear it, and you know which one this is. Should you have an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, seek immediate medical attention. Now, 2 of the other side effects happen to be reduced hearing and sight. So it's possible you could have this guy, honey, honey, I can't see the clock. How long have I had this thing? What'd you say? Perfect storm. But okay, a 4-hour erection, I can't even imagine. But does that mean, if that's problematic, does that mean a 3-hour erection? Seriously, a 3-hour? I don't. What do you? Who has 3 hours? This day and time? All right. Even 2 hours. Let's just go for the medium and just 2 hours. I don't think I've ever been able to hold a woman's attention. Is it possible? No. And certainly I could be doing it wrong. Maybe I don't understand this process. And on the commercials, they don't ever give you any ways of actually how you use this particular product. And there's only one that gives any kind of a hint at all, and that's the Cialis commercial. And on the Cialis commercial, at the end of it, where they have the logo come up, there are two people who are sitting in separate single tubs, and you shooting from the back, and they're both sitting there and they're holding hands. The only thing I can figure is that it's like, do you remember those Roadrunner cartoons and Wile E. Coyote when the Roadrunner would set Wile E. Coyote's tail on fire? And he would lower himself into a bucket and go, That's all I can figure that they're doing. It's at the end of the 2-hour time, and they're going,